friends, it's Katie from Lady Red Crafting, and today we're turning ordinary into extraordinary with some easy, budget-friendly solar light DIYs. If you're ready to brighten up your outdoor space with nothing but a little sunshine and creativity, you're in the right place. So without further ado, let's get started. Let's grab one of these fun Dollar Tree solar lights, one of their wire baskets, and a 4-inch clay pot. And I did get this clay pot at the Dollar Tree in a 2-pack, but if you can't find them there, you can always get them at any hardware store. Next, I grabbed my multi-surface satin black paint from Folk Art, and I'm going to give a nice coat of paint around the outside of this pot. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take apart my solar light, and all we're going to use here to start is the tube in the center of the solar light, and I'm using some Loctite all-purpose glue. And we're just going to add a little bit of that Loctite to the top of our pot, and then we'll center our solar light tube on top of it. And once everything is dry, I went back in with my black paint and I just painted over the top of that glue. Next, I'm going to grab my Folk Art Sugar Metallic Space Gray and some sponges. And we're going to take the paint and we're going to add just a little bit to our sponge and sponge that all over our terracotta pot. And this will give it the same look as our little pipe that is coming out of our pot. And now that we have everything blended in nicely, I'm going to grab my Mod Podge sealer. And to apply the sealer, I'm going to take my piece outside, and you shake the Mod Podge sealer for about a minute, and then you're just going to spray it like you would spray paint or any other acrylic paint. And this will take about 15 minutes to dry, so that way you can recoat after that. And now that everything has been sealed, we go ahead and add our little solar light to the top, and then we place our basket on top of the solar light. Now, if you'd like, you can just leave it like that, where it's loose on top, and that way you can change out the light when you need to. Or if you'd like, you can also just do a small little bit of silicone glue and glue that to the top. And now this adorable lamp is ready to display. You can put it on a side table outside or set it as a centerpiece on your dining table outside. And this would look great for an event, so it'd be perfect for something like that to just light up the table and have something to talk about when you're at the table. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now this next one is super easy, so don't blink or you will miss it. You're going to grab one of these planter pot chains from the Dollar Tree and 3 of these lamps. Normally they are on hooks, but we are going to add them to this planter chain and hang them from a tree. Now let's go ahead and lay out this chain. And I just laid this out to make sure it is straight, and it'll be easier for me to go ahead and remove a few of the links. We are going to be using all of the hooks on the bottom, so please don't lose those when we start removing some of these little chains. Next, I just grabbed my floral pliers, but any set of pliers would work just fine. And I'm going to go ahead and remove 5 of the links from the first chain. And once I have removed that, I'm going to add that hook right back on to the bottom of that chain. Now for the second chain, I'm going to remove 10 of these little links from the chain and just repeat the same step. Next, let's go ahead and add our lights. I'm starting out by just opening up the lamps and removing that little tab in there and making sure that everything works properly before I attach them to my chain. Now comes the easy part. You're just going to hook each one of these lamps onto our chain. And now that we have all of our lamps attached to the chain, let's go ahead and hang this outside. Now here is what it looks like during the day. And then in the evening time when these light up, these look amazing. I just love how they look in the tree. This is such a fun way to add a little bit of solar light to your decor without having to spend too much, but makes it look so elegant. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this content, please consider hitting that like or subscribe button. Thank you. I fell in love with these hexagon-shaped solar lights at the Dollar Tree. And I had this candelabra that's been in my stash for quite some time. So I'm going to start out by taking these solar lights, and we are going to remove the top piece of the solar lights. We'll go ahead and save the bottoms for a later craft, and if you don't want to do that, you can just recycle those. Next, I'm just going to pull the lids off here and remove the little sticker tab that's in there. And then I just verify that all of these work because we don't want to start this craft off with a broken solar light. Going back to our candelabra, I wanted to make sure this was a little bit easier to work with, so I'm just going to add it to a 2-inch terracotta pot while we're working on this. Next, I'm grabbing my Fix All glue, and this I do get from Dollar Tree, and we're going to use this glue to glue in place our little lights. And one thing I did find out with this glue and this little candelabra, it was easier for me to apply the glue to 2 of the candelabras at a time, and then I would try to kind of balance putting in the lights at the same time, just so nothing would fall and would be easier for it to stick to that glue. And then I just repeated the same step on the next 2 candle holders. And after about an hour, these were completely dry. I was very happy with how this glue worked. So if you haven't tried that Fix All glue from Dollar Tree, it is a great little glue. And now here is what this looks like added to a bottle. And here it is outside. It's just starting to get dark, and I just love how this turns out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think this one is maybe one of my favorite little solar lights to date. Let's start out with this adorable little love jar from the Dollar Tree and these lovely fragment effects from Plaid. And if you haven't worked with these before, they are really easy to work with if you know how to do it. So these are glass chips and they come in all sorts of different colors. I like using mine with resin, but it also comes with a glue that you can use with these as well. So I'm going to be using this resin that I got from Amazon, and I'll leave a link for it in my description box below. So a quick rundown on how to use resin. Most of the resins will come with directions and gloves for you to use. I am using some disposable cups for this because I don't plan on trying to wash the resin out of these cups later on. So what I do next is I'm just going to pour the A resin into 1 cup and then the B resin into the other cup up to the line. And then I'll combine both of them and stir them together using a popsicle stick. Now, I made way too much resin for this project, so you're going to see another project right after this one using some resin as well because I used so much resin. And I think this is a really easy project to start with a resin pour if you have never tried it before. There are so many different fun things you can do with resin. The key is that don't make too much, because if you do, you have to use it or you lose it. So now that our resin is ready to go, we're going to go ahead and pour this resin slowly over the top of these little chips in the jar. And I'm only going to pour enough to cover the chips by about less than 1/4 of an inch. Just barely cover it so it's nice and smooth. Now, one trick with resin is sometimes you'll get a few little bubbles when you pour it, and all you have to do is take a hairdryer or a heat tool, and you can just warm up the resin on the top and it will pop all of those little bubbles. Now here is what it looks like right before we set it aside to dry, and I'm going to dry this overnight, but you want to dry it for at least 8 hours or look at the directions on your resin. Now here is what it looks like the next day. The solar light I'm going to add to this piece is one from the Dollar Tree, and it's the one that you see with the little butterfly inside. I'm going to go ahead and remove the lid, and using some pliers, we're just going to remove that butterfly from our little lamp. Now let's go ahead and attach our little light to our jar. And to do this, I'm using E6000. I'm starting out by just adding that E6000 to the rim of our jar. Next, just place your light right on top of the jar. Then I let this sit overnight, and the next day this was ready to display outside. I just love the way that the resin and these glass chips look underneath the solar light. I think this is such a fun little piece to add to your decor. Now let's go ahead and start out with one of the traditional solar lights. I'm going to go ahead and take a piece of floral foam, and I'm removing the top part of the light, and I'm just going to add that to the floral foam so it has a nice sturdy base to sit on. Once we've removed the solar light from the top of that, I'm going to add a little bit of these fragment effects. These are glass chips into the little case where the light shines through. And I'm just doing red, white, and blue for this one, and I'm just going to mix them up a little bit. Now do be careful if you touch these with your hands. They are a little bit sharp. I have not cut myself with them, but I could see somebody cutting themselves with them. Next, I'm just going to pour in some of the resin, and realizing that this is very thick with the layers of the glass in here, I am going to pour just a little bit of resin in. I'll take a little popsicle stick here, and I'm just going to kind of mix the resin in with the glass beads. And I'm going to keep repeating this step until everything is coated. Next, I'm just going to pour enough resin in at the top to give it a nice top where it's nice and smooth. You want to make sure you leave enough headspace to be able to reattach your light. And to remove any of the air bubbles on top of the resin, I'm using my heat tool, but a hairdryer would also work. And you just warm up the resin until all the bubbles pop. Next, you go ahead and let this dry overnight. The next day, you just remove your piece from your floral foam and add your light. Now just put together your little solar light, and it's ready to display. Now this piece is ready to add to your garden. I'm going to add it to a little floral pot here. I love the extra sparkle it gives. So I would love to hear from all of you. Let me know in the comments below which project you like better. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, or number 5. And there you have it, 5 beautiful solar light projects. I hope you enjoyed these crafts today as much as I did, and if you're looking for more fun and creative craft ideas, be sure to check out our next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, craft more, stress less.